Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Real Positive Girl podcast with me, Sabrina. This is a show that helps you become your best self, and today we are talking about 5 tips on how to disagree with someone respectfully and confidently. But before we jump into that, as always, I want to invite you to come say hi to me on social media. I am at Sabrina Joy Perozzo on both TikTok and Instagram, so I'd love to hear from you there. And if you need help spelling that, just take a peek in the show notes. I have it written out there, as well as a place for you to sign up for the newsletter that has kind of been like off schedule during this holiday time. I apologize, but we're getting back on, our regularly scheduled program for everything. And you can also check out my website that has other resources. Like you can buy the planner journal that came out a couple months ago, and you can again sign up for the newsletter. You can contact me. You can see all the favorite things that I like on Amazon if you need some ideas for helpful things that will help in the office, helpful things for your mindset, like notepads that I like, and different office supplies, and other fun things and snacks, because snacks are key. And if you take a look down in the show notes, you'll also see a spot for you to suggest a topic for the show anonymously. So I don't know it's you, but you're able to suggest a topic, as well as a place for you to vent to me if you do not have someone that is emotionally available in your life to do that with. And again, that is also anonymous. So take a look at all that stuff down there in the show notes. But let's go ahead and jump into today's topic, which again is 5 tips on how to disagree with someone respectfully and confidently. So I was sharing with my therapist in the past week that I was like really proud of myself for being confident in my own perspective and my own opinion while participating in a group discussion online. So basically, it was like this person that I follow online was live, and she brought up a topic, which she often does, and was asking for people's input. And normally I will still submit my input, even if I don't feel like super confident about standing by my own opinion and my own perspective. But because like someone else will come and say, no, they don't agree or they disagree or whatever, and I will feel like I need to cower in fear and be like, oh no, you're right. This time it was different. And I am often the person that will fall to someone else's opinion because they come across as like more of an authority figure, or they say enough things to downplay my opinion that, in the end, I too will render it useless. And it's a terrible thing. I laugh because in hindsight, we can laugh at the things that we are struggling with and that we're getting better at. Because once we see progress, it's like it feels better and easier to be like, oh, yeah, look how silly that was then and how much better I am at it now. But this week, this past week, I did not render my opinion useless. I did not give up on standing by my own perspective and my opinion in that discussion. And I stood up for my thoughts and opinions. And it was all the while being respectful and open minded. And this is a big deal for me. And I understand that this might not be a big deal for everyone, because if you are already practiced in the ability to be confident and stand by your own opinion, your own perspective, and do it respectfully and feel confident in the way that you're going about it, then you're just like, this is like normal. But for me, and for people that struggle with being a people pleaser or even a perfectionist, because you want to be able to say the best things and come across as understood, and if you feel like you're not going to, then often you will not share those opinions, those outlooks, those things, those perspectives that you have in your mind. So this is like a victory, a win for me as a people pleaser. And I know that anyone else that's been struggling with those same things and they do have this experience as win in their life, they feel really, really good about it. And as you know, and as I've been mentioning lately, because it's like one of the big things that I'm trying to progress on in therapy, is that I struggle with um, confidence a lot. And with this experience happening with me, standing up for my own perspective and opinion in this group chat, it lined up with what I was focusing on, which was acting as if I were confident in most things I do. And that's what my therapist calls it. It's like when you are, I call it pretending, like just putting on that front of like, I feel confident or I feel whatever. And more often than not, I'm here telling you that your mindset and your beliefs have to happen first for your behavior to change and your actions to change and everything like that. And I still believe that, but I do believe also in having a discussion with my therapist and multiple people in life, actually, I just like it expounded into so many people that it can also be the other way around. It just depends on what's going on. It can often be like that if you, classic example, we're trying to lose weight and you couldn't get your mindset wrapped around the need to find the best modality for you to work out, but so you might like continue to put it off. However, if you put the action first as opposed to the belief system and you just start working out and you figure it out, then that could still equal consistency and a good outcome for you for losing weight and working out if that's your goal. You know what I mean? And so in this case, I had talked to my therapist a lot about how I would love to be more confident and how there's like this small place inside of my heart and my mind where I'm like, I know what I'm saying is true and backed by research and knowledge. And also, I am humble enough to accept when I'm wrong. If someone's able, like, someone would be like, oh, no, that's not correct because of this, that, and the other. Okay, like, great. I will be humble enough to accept that I was wrong. But anyway, it's just that I have been wanting to grow in confidence because I know that I will never be able to get my business off the ground of creating products and writing books and all this kind of stuff to help people with their emotions and mindset and mental health if I cannot confidently come across in what I know to be true based on my own experiences and knowledge and research. So, confidence has been the really big thing in my life, and I know other people struggle with it well. And also, I struggle with it because, again, people pleasing issues. But it's something that I want to work on and get better about. So I set it as my goal to pretend, or again, as my therapist calls it, acting as if I were confident. And so I was confident and lived my life like that. And it was a pretty good experiment that yielded like positive results. I was actually shocked. And I even told my husband about it, like I think it was like a day or two in where I was like, yeah, I feel more confident. And this is like what my therapist had, chatted with me about. And he was like, yeah, I was noticing something different about you and how you were coming across as more confident. And so that this whole experiment, is really feeding into the idea that yes, I still think the best way for you to go about creating lasting change that will actually benefit you is to change your mindset and your belief system first. However, I do think that if you are struggling in that area, you can give it a try to do it the other way around, where you start with your actions. And once you're able to prove to yourself with those actions that what you want to do, you can do, then you can go back and like start padding out the whole thoughts and beliefs and getting those stronger, and then it all works together. So it was a pretty great experiment. We were repeating it for the next 2 weeks, and sometimes I have faltered, of course, because no one's perfect and we can't be at our best self. Like our best self is going to look different every single day. So it's not that we're not at our best self that day. It's just that we are at a different level of that, and that is perfectly acceptable, right? And so, the times where I falter, I try to remind myself, hey, we're trying to be confident here. Let's just be confident. But anyway, as per usual, there was a little bit of a tangent there. But the point of this podcast isn't to recount my entire therapy session, despite the fact that maybe someone is interested in that. If they are, please suggest it as a topic and I can do that. But to share with you what this taught me, like this experiment of being confident and going through the experience of sharing my perspective and opinion confidently. And, I want to be able to share with you like what that taught me about disagreeing with others and doing so respectfully, because as like tedious and like small as this topic may sound, it is so, so important, because a lot of times we won't, again, as a people pleaser, perfectionist, or anyone that just has this fear of speaking up and sharing what you're thinking, we will struggle to do this because, we don't know how to do it respectfully, and maybe we're afraid it's going to get into a fight and a negative exchange. And there's a lot of other reasons that are behind that, but we might not say anything because we don't want it to turn into something disrespectful, right? But we know that we believe something different, and that is perfectly fine. And I would even go as far to say that if you're speaking with someone and you know what they're saying is incorrect, just and you offer to give them the correct answer with some sort of like proof of backing of, you know, um, how you've come to that conclusion and how you think that they may be incorrect. But if they don't want to hear it, then we still need to be respectful of them, despite the fact that we may know that they are incorrect, right? Because they'll get to their answer eventually. Someone will get it across to them. It's not our job. We offered it, they declined. Let's move on, right? So, whether we are confident or not, it can feel difficult to disagree with someone and do it respectfully because of how their point of view leads us to feel, or the way that they're coming across, or like even knowing they are incorrect in what they're saying, like I was saying before. Because there are times in my life in the past, I've luckily outgrown this for the most part, not perfect, but where someone will be saying something incorrect and I will want to fight them because I'm like, no, what you're saying is wrong. And my whole reasoning behind this, which is not a very good reason, some may see it as an excuse, that's fine, is that if someone is going around sharing like knowledge that is incorrect and they happen to share it with someone that decides to just believe them off the bat, then you're spreading misinformation, which might be to someone's detriment, most likely. And if I have been roped into that experience, even a tiny bit, of just hearing them say that and trying to convince them that what they're saying is wrong and might be dangerous, we don't know. It gets me all up in it. But it's like, okay, it's not my job to mother or babysit someone or tell them that they're wrong, put them in their place. It's like you offer it, they say no, then whatever. So, but it can just be so uncomfortable to have that exchange or even stand by your own opinion, especially if they happen to be the person that they are trying to convince you that you're incorrect, but they don't have any proof or any like way to show you that what you're saying is wrong. And you're like, no, I know I'm right. But whatever the reason, we can struggle with this, which can lead to bigger blowouts and uncomfortable situations. And I want to help us overcome that so that we are feeling free and confident and have the ability to share our opinions and our beliefs and our perspectives on something in the most respectful way. But I can tell you from recent experience that being able to express how you think and feel without coming across as aggressive or rude, because apparently that is how I would come across because I'm so passionate about sharing knowledge and sharing things, right? Um, you know, unless of course the receiver of what you're telling decides to see it that way, nothing we can do about that. People decide to be the way that they're going to be. It's such an amazing feeling to just be like, I think this, and they're like, oh no, well I think this, and I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Well, I think this because of this, but it's cool to see what you think too, right? And that's just great. I feel like it's like a dip into the possibilities of a utopian world. And I think talking about this during this time of year is getting together for the holidays, and even when you're starting to create your goals, which I will have two like very kind of classic E with my own spin of emotional growth and health into it, of like New Year's goals and like creating those. But I think that talking about this during this time of year, getting together with family, like creating your own goals and figuring out what you want to do and how you want to grow and change and everything, if you want to, can be really helpful when having discussions or casual chats, and when you're exchanging like, oh well, this is going to be my goal or intention for the year, these are things that I'm going to grow in, these are the things I'm going to have expectations that I'm going to hit based on a reasonable plan that you have put together. And if someone's like, oh, I think that that's totally silly for this and that reason, you can stand firm in that, in your opinion and your decisions that you're making, that, well, that's great. And it's great that you see it that way. And thank you for sharing that with me. But, I'm going to stick to what I'm doing. So, here are 5 tips on how to disagree respectfully with others, because, again, this is such a good skill to have so that you're not ruining friendships and relationships, and you're having constructive conversations that help you grow and see things from other people's perspectives, even if you don't change your mind. And that's like one of the most important things that I feel like we don't grasp to, or we don't put enough attention on, is that you can see someone else's perspective and understand their opinion and their beliefs without feeling the pressure of having to change yours to match and mirror theirs. That's not a requirement. it's enough to understand them and see where they're coming from. And that will help you better understand more people and other things that are happening in the world that aren't in your immediate bubble. Okay, 5 tips on how to disagree respectfully with others. As always, just so you know, this is the caveat of that this is all based on my own experience and knowledge and research and the experiences of others I'm allowed to share. If you feel like any of this that I'm giving to you right now does not align with what you think would be true and helpful for you, I encourage you to seek out a counselor or a therapist that will help you in that one-on-one fashion to really figure out what would better help you disagree respectfully with others. If you don't want to do that, I do encourage you, as always, to check with our best friend Google and type in how to disagree respectfully with others, and that can point you into a lot of blog articles, scientific articles, just random posts by people giving their own opinions. Okay, number one, let's jump into my list, is these are going to be classic things, but a lot of times we need to be reminded of the classic things, not get caught up in all the fun craziness. So, number one, use I statements when you share your opinion. Make sure that you're using I statements that, like, I believe this, or I think this, or my perspective is this. Make sure that you are delivering whatever your thought and your opinion perspective is as your own, and not just like this global thought of like, well, everyone believes this, that, and the other. Like, because it's not true. Not everyone believes. And even if it's a majority belief, like if you have actual scientific data backing that, it's still like unfair because those people are not there to represent themselves, right? The rest of the world that you're claiming believes what you believe. And there never will be, right? And so that's a really big assumption that someone hasn't actually changed their mind since having that data like pulled together. So it's really important that when you're sharing your opinion, use I statements. Be like, yes, this is how I believe. And it'll really come across as like you are trying your best to share with them how you view things as opposed to just assigning, like, especially if you're going to say, if you're going to talk about like what you're observing about someone as opposed to being like, wow, you're in a really bad mood, you need to say, oh, I feel like you're in a really bad mood. Are you in a bad mood? You still have to ask. You still have to clarify. You still have to get the details. Hey, are you, right? And that is the way that you see it. And this is actually a really big thing that helps in relationships. My husband and I are working on this a lot because it comes across as less like accusatory when you're like, I feel, or it looks like, right? Like you're saying this is your perspective as opposed to being like, oh my gosh, you're like being the worst right now. Outside of like jokes. So use an I statement when you're sharing your opinion so that it's very well perceived, hopefully, that you are addressing it from how you feel and how you see it and how you have experienced it. Number two, don't let your emotions control you. Choose to respond, not to react. I often talk about responding versus reacting because reacting is when you allow your emotions to drive the bus. They are driving the struggle bus and you don't know what's going to happen. So if someone says something and you allow your emotions to react first, you could do something that you regret. You could do something that makes the situation worse. And you're not taking a moment to actually figure out what would be the most beneficial thing to do in this situation, which would be responding. Responding is literally giving yourself a beat to be like, okay, what is the best way to respond to this situation? Should I say anything at all? Do I really need to punch them in the face? Is it really necessary to yell and scream and like act like this is like the worst thing in the entire world? Do I need to take a breath and understand that they're being really naive in their viewpoint and I need to maybe share how I feel about that, right? So don't let your emotions control you. Emotions are great. They're amazing. You need to honor and accept them as they are, but it doesn't mean that they need to control you. Just because you feel something doesn't mean that you have to act on it, okay? So it's actually a post that I'm going to post tomorrow, Monday, December 26th, talking about how it's important to realize that your emotions don't need to dictate what you actually do. And I use this like really cool, not really cool, sorry. I mean, maybe I think it's cool, but I use this like classic example of like if you go to like the mall or somewhere that has like a balcony or an overlook spot. And a lot of us, based upon my knowledge, but you know what I mean, will have this intrusive thought of like, what if I just like fell? What if I just jumped off right now? Would I survive? Right? And so you have that thought of like, man, maybe I should just fall off. Maybe I should just jump off, let go. But we don't do it. We don't do it because just because we have a thought, we have an emotion, we have a feeling, doesn't mean we need to act on it. So it's important. Do not let your emotions control you because then you will be riding that struggle bus for a long time. Okay? Number three, don't put down or make fun of their opinion. Don't put down or make fun of their opinion. People that come across as egotistical, cocky, very focused, narcissistic on themselves can come across and say things to like poke fun at your opinion, right? And they'll say negative things and maybe even attribute characteristics or like label you as, oh my gosh, that's so stupid, that's so dumb of you, whatever. And it doesn't feel good, right? It feels terrible. It feels really unfair that they're labeling you as dumb because you have a certain opinion. And that's why it's important, because it's just rude, but also it's important to not do that to other people because it doesn't feel good when it happens to us. So don't put down or make fun of their opinion. It's unnecessary. Like if they think the world is flat and you're like over here like, well, based on all the scientific research and people that I've spoken with, the earth is actually round and how we've, you know, proven this theory to be wrong, right? You don't want to be like, oh my gosh, you're so dumb to think that the world is flat. You just be like, well, based on the research, it doesn't appear that what you're saying is correct. And I would love for you to share with me why you think it is and also encourage you to read this, that, and the other and understand this, right? There's no reason to put down or make fun of someone else's opinion. You're only doing that because you're really projecting your insecurities onto them. And you're like, oh my gosh, I often feel this way, but I don't want to feel this way, but I'm going to make them feel bad for feeling this way because I know that it's not a good thing. So don't put down or make fun of their opinions. It's unnecessary. It's a waste of your breath. And it's a really mean thing to do. Number four out of five. Practice active listening skills. Hear them out. Practice active listening skills. Hear them out. It's been a while since I've talked about active listening skills. They are absolutely amazing. I promise you. And if you're able to, really hone in that skill, I know there's a lot of people in the world that cannot do this. But if we are able to encourage them to actually practice active listening skills, the world would be a lot better. I 110% believe that. So if you're unaware, practice active listening skills. So when you are just listening, like not actively listening, a lot of times your mind can wander while the other person is speaking. And also, you can kind of not listen to what the other person is saying because you're already trying to like come up with your own response, opinion, or you're getting really upset about what they're saying and you're already like worlds away from the conversation thinking about how upset you are and how you've decided to feel about it, whatever, right? But when you're active listening, you're locked in, you're like, let's hear what you have to say, whether I disagree or I agree, and you're listening and you're like, okay, this is what they're saying. And then when they're done speaking, that is when you formulate your response. And you might be thinking, Sabrina, like, why would I do it then? Then they have to wait. Yeah, they'll have to wait, like a beat. Usually, if we're active listening, we get all the knowledge. We're not going to have to assume we heard what they're saying because we actually did. We took it all in. And we won't look silly for saying something even though they literally just told us or asking a question, unless it's like a follow-up. Active listening, you are fully there with them. You're engrossed in what they're saying. Again, whether you believe them, agree with them or not, you are listening. And then if you do need a moment to kind of collect your thoughts, you're like, okay, hey, you're like, oh, great. I'm so glad that you shared this with me. Give me just a second to formulate how I would feel about that or my response because I was listening so intently. I wanted to make sure I gave you my full attention. Now, some people might still like try to make fun of you for this, like, oh my gosh, I can't believe you weren't able to do both at once. Oh, people like that drive me crazy. Then you just have to either one, ignore them, which I know is really difficult, especially if you want to be sassy and petty, but ignore them, or just be like, hey, well, I get that that's how you feel, but I feel it's important to really engage and listen to everything that person's saying so that when I respond to you, I have all the knowledge and I'm not only half listening and being rude, right? Really pointing back the fact that you are being like so engaged in what they're saying and how important it is. So practice active listening skills, actually hear them out. And when I say hear them out, I mean that you allow them to say what they're going to say, give their opinion, share their perspective. Don't just cut them off because they believe something different than you do. That's rude and terrible and unfair, right? Because what if someone did that to you? So hear them out, even if you know that whatever they're going to say is incorrect, wrong, whatever, in your perspective or in the world of science or whatever, in knowledge and understanding, still hear them out, still be respectful, still listen, and then respond. Okay, number 5, and the last one I have to share with you today on how to disagree respectfully with others so you don't cause drama and fight is number 5, know when to move on from the topic at hand. Know when to move on from the topic at hand. Sometimes we can get so caught up in the discussion and really want to drive our point home, really want to prove to them that we are correct, which is unnecessary, that we'll continue to push the conversation. When in reality, we just need to kind of cut it off at some point. You're saying, if you're going around in circles, saying the same thing, maybe you can tell that they might start feeling upset, or you're feeling some sort of type of emotion, and it's continuing to build and build and build. You might just need to like take a break or just move on and be like, you know what? Let's agree to disagree. Some people won't like that. There's been many times where I'm like, no, I need you to agree. But again, we're growing, we're learning, we're getting better. Becoming our best selves every single day. Yes, we are. No, don't do that. Just like take a moment and be like, you know what? We just continue to be on opposite sides. Maybe we are, really respectfully seeing the other person's viewpoint and perspective, but we're just not going to change, right? And I don't think that we should always be going into a conversation unless it's like a debate that we know it's a debate. We shouldn't be going into conversations trying to convince the other person that they are wrong or that they need to come to your opinion and perspective and abandon their own. That's not fair. Plus, if you don't really know what theirs is, maybe you might want to change sides too. Who knows? But just, you're going to get, there will be conversations though that you'll get to the point where you're just saying the same things over and over again and you need to move on, okay? You can like postpone it and like, or just take a break and come back to the conversation, or just move on and be like, you know what? It just seems that we're both in our own opinions and we can respect each other in that, and let's talk about something else. Because you continue to push it, drive it so deep and so far away from the original points and tangents and all kinds of stuff, it turns into a bigger mess and can cause more struggle, drama, problems in that relationship, friendly or platonic, or friendly, platonic, friendly, romantic, familiar, whatever it is. So know when to move on from the topic at hand. And with that, that is all 5 tips on how to disagree respectfully with others. So thank you so much for listening to the Real Positive Girl podcast again with me, Sabrina. I really hope this topic has helped. I know that's very like kind of niche down, very specific, but I think it can be so super helpful in communication with other people. So again, check all the show notes below to sign up for the newsletter, to purchase the journal, to visit my website, to find out what I think one of the best snacks is on Amazon. My Amazon favorites on my website. Submit a topic suggestion anonymously. Submit a vent session anonymously. Come say hi to me on socials. Do all the things. But until next time, have a good one, and I will see y'all next time. Bye.